What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex, and you're watching The Road to TF5. This is just the web series we're talking about Transformers 5. This is episode number 31. And before I begin, I just want to give a big birthday shout out to Matthew Azarito, who will be having his birthday on Halloween. Happy Halloween birthday. I hope you have a good one. Now, let's talk about Transformers 5. And what we're really waiting for is new information. But we don't really have any new information. I'm just thinking, give us something. Give us some new details about the production. Like, what is going on? All we know is that the writing is complete. But I think the main thing we're really wanting to know is who's going to be directing Transformers 5. And supposedly, we're supposed to get that announcement pretty soon, but they've really given us nothing. I mean, we're already going into November, and by this point in time, we should get some sort of information. And, well, Akiva Goldsman did an interview with IGN, and, well, that's the only big news to talk about right now in this episode. So I just want to make a comment on what he talked about at that interview. So let's just start off with this question, and that is, I wanted to ask about Transformers and what the writer's room process has been like, because obviously that's commonplace for television, but not so much for movies. How has it been working with the TV hitters like Stephen DeKnight and Robert Kirkman on this franchise? And his answer was, the room was honestly as delightful an experience as I've had. I think that we were just lucky enough to get a lot of good folks, all of whom were very generous. You know, I lurked around Fringe and I learned a lot there. When you have a bunch of people who you respect, who are smart and talented, all trying to help each other figure stuff out, it's good whether you're all in a car heading across country for a road trip, or a marriage and a family, or a writer's room. So essentially what he's trying to say is that it was a positive process and they got a lot of creative stuff out of it, and this room was filled with really, really talented writers. Okay, so that's essentially what he's saying. Now, the next question is, how interconnected are these movies going to be? Are you trying to build up the shared universe aspect, sort of like Marvel, or are you wanting each movie to be its own separate thing? His answer is, our hope is that they are all interconnected and, of course, standalone, right? I think architecturally the best. I believe this, the best serialized storytelling has integrity from start to finish of the episode. Whether it be TV or a movie or a comic book or a novel series or short story series, you want to be able to satisfy both appetites, which I think is very different from procedural or episodic. You want to feed the instinct for the short-term gratification and the long-term gratification. So we're trying to do both. So what I gather from that is that they do want to make it like Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Because when you really think about it, each film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a standalone film. It's its own story. There's one main story. But then, by the time you get to the end of the movie, you realize that it is a continuation, but that film can stand on its own. It's just part of a bigger story, and that's what it's going to be like. From what I gather from his response, they want to make it standalone, but also interconnected. And I don't think it's really that hard to do that. After all, they have all these great writers, and all they got to do is add in elements that connect each film, which is something that has already been done before. And plus, they have a lot of writers who have written for the Marvel films. Like, you have the writer of The Incredible Hulk, Ant-Man, and also one of the Amazing Spider-Man films. So all those films, you know, it's all from the Marvel Universe, and they're all connected in some way. And so if they just include that type of mentality in when writing the larger story, which they have, especially considering a lot of the writers are from TV, then they're going to have a big interconnected story with smaller standalone films. Okay, so that's what's happening. Now, here's the last response and question. Do you think the human element is crucial to Transformers, or do you think Transformers can live on their own without the human aspect of it? His answer is, do I think Transformers can live without humans? Sure. Do I think humans can live without Transformers? Sure. In the Transformers movies? Sure. But fundamentally, there seems to be something really great about the interaction between the two species. I think that in the main, I would suggest that that would be something you wouldn't want to squander. Although that doesn't mean that you couldn't do all sorts of things for a little while. Okay, now here's where it gets a little bit juicy. Because I actually agree with what he says, and that is there's something really great when you combine the two species. There's something, not combined, but when you have the two species interact, I think there's something great there, and that is you cannot have the robots in disguise element without the human aspect. And there's a lot of other things, like for example, alt modes. Earth alt modes. You cannot have that without the human element. So they go hand in hand. They have to be there. Okay? The human element, no matter what, will always exist. Now, he mentioned something very interesting when he was saying this. He said that I would suggest that that would be something you wouldn't want to squander. Okay, you know what? I honestly am not too familiar with that vocabulary, squander. So I decided to go to dictionary.com to find out what squander really means, okay? So it's a verb, and it's used with an object. To spend or use money, time, etc. extravagantly or wastefully, often followed by away. All right? Number 2 is to scatter. And number 3 is extravagant or wasteful expenditure. So he said that he doesn't want to squander the human element. That could mean one of two things, and that is to spend too much time with the humans. He doesn't want to spend too much time with the humans, or he doesn't want to waste the human element, meaning like you don't want to get rid of them, otherwise you're going to end up wasting the human element, which creates for a great interaction between the robots. So I don't really know what that means. I've checked out a lot of other websites, entertainment websites that have reposted this original interview that was originally posted on IGN, and their headlines say something about squandering the human element, which could possibly mean getting rid of it. And everybody's like, yes, you know what? They're gonna get rid of the humans. Actually, I don't think that's true at all. I think that they just don't want to waste the human element, as in they don't want to lose the human element. After all, they're on Earth. Humans need to be there. Okay. All right. Let's find out what is the last thing he mentioned, and that is right. And we've heard about that animated movie being an origin movie with just Transformers in it, right? Yeah, the prequel. It takes place before Optimus and Megatron ever come to Earth. Now that is going to be very, very interesting. If that were to actually, I mean, when that actually happens, when we actually see that. Because it's going to be animated, and also this is the time that takes place before this, before they come to Earth, before all the humans. So this is the time of the Great War, or even before that. So very, very exciting stuff. Now, for the rest of this episode, based on everything that I've gathered from not just this interview, but everything else, I decided to make a list. It's not a top 10 list. It's actually just a list of things in no particular order that we know so far about Transformers 5. Okay? I'm just going to list it in no particular order, okay? Number 1. Transformers 5 is scheduled to be released in summer of 2017. Alright? We already know that. Okay? And if that is true, that means pre-production needs to start now. They already have a very solid script. They're going to start filming in, I'm thinking, April or May, but they don't have a director, okay? Number 2, they have enough script content to make Transformers films and extend the franchise for the next 10 years. So that is all the way to 2025. I imagine that would be 5 to 7 films. I mean, if they're going to have the Transformers spin-offs as well as the main story canon, then I imagine that could be 5, 6, 7 films, all right? Number 3, Academy Awarded writer Akiva Goldsman is scripting Transformers 5. That is great. Because we're no longer getting Aaron Kruger. We're no longer getting Roberto Orci or Alex Kurtzman. They went on to move on to do other things. I mean, I really enjoyed Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci's work on the first film, But afterwards, Revenge of the Fallen and then Aaron Kruger's work on Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, I thought the writing was really, really poor. So thankfully, we actually have someone with a very solid list of credits working on the writing, okay? Number 4, Ant-Man writers Andrew Barr and Gabriel Ferrari are writing the Cybertron prequel, which will be animated and tentatively titled Transformers 1. Very exciting stuff to know that there's going to be a story that takes place before all this stuff ever happened, okay? Number 5, Transformers is all about merchandising. So therefore, the most top-selling characters, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, are definitely going to be back. For sure. You cannot get rid of Bumblebee. The kids will hate it if you got rid of Bumblebee. And of course, Optimus Prime, the most iconic character of the entire Transformers universe, you can't get rid of him. Optimus Prime and Bumblebee will be back. Okay? Number 6, Mark Wahlberg is signed on to reprise his role as Cade Yeager. He will be back. No word on Tessa and Shane. Alright? Number 7, at the end of Age of Extinction, Drift, Hound, and Crosshairs, along with Bumblebee, were to remain with the human family. So, by this, it is assumed that we will see them again in Transformers 5, unless they decide to pull a Michael Bay, where characters just disappear and then just come out of nowhere. Number 8, Optimus Prime is on his way to see the creators, therefore parts of the film will take place in space. Okay? That's a given. At the end of Age of Extinction, the last thing we saw Optimus Prime do was fly to outer space, and he says that, "I'm coming for you." He's referring to the creators, okay? They have to have that happen. They have to have a scene where Optimus Prime, where we follow up on what happens with Optimus Prime and his journey to outer space, okay? We have to follow up on that, because that's the last thing we saw in Age of Extinction. So a part of Transformers 5 has to take place in space. They're not going to just leave that, otherwise, well, unless, the only thing I can think of is that it starts off with Optimus Prime landing back on Earth and telling the humans and Autobot team that he found nothing except for remains, and all we see was a flashback scene. I don't know, okay? That's the only thing I can think of. Number 9, Galvatron is still on Earth, and his last known location was in Hong Kong. So, once again, we got to follow up on that as well. Galvatron, he's a man-made creation, okay? And from KSI. And he's around roaming the Earth, and he's looking to dominate. He's looking for world domination, but right now he doesn't have an army. So, which leads me to number 10. The new threat will be alien. And essentially, they will be Decepticons. I'm positive. Well, actually, I can't be positive, but I'm sure that we're going to get a new alien threat, because KSI does not exist anymore. KSI is done. It's destroyed. All right? All the prototypes are gone. So therefore, there's no more human-made, or rather manufactured, Transformers. There's no more of that. We've already seen and done that. We don't need to see that again. Okay? There's going to be a new alien threat. We don't know who it's going to be, but we kind of have speculations about who it could be. But the fact is that the new alien threat will either have already been on Earth for a long time and is going to get awakened, or he's actually going to come from space, which probably maybe Optimus Prime led them back to Earth in a space battle or something. I don't know. But those are the 10 things that we know about Transformers 5. So if there's anything that I missed, let me know in the comment section below that of what you think that we know about Transformers 5 that are absolute givens. I believe everything that I've listed in this list of 10 facts are actually facts, and they have to be addressed in the 5th film. Alright, so there you have it. That's all I gotta say in this video. We're gonna have more videos on Transformers 5. After all, we are going into November, and they gotta make an announcement soon. We're just waiting for it. We're not gonna not have an announcement. Alright, are you kidding me? This is a big deal. So we're gonna talk about Transformers 5 in the next few weeks to come, all right? And then we're going to move on to 2016, and then they're going to start working on filming the movie, and then it's going to be really, really exciting, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, that's all I really have to say in this video. Oh, by the way, go on Instagram, follow ages3andup.com, or rather ages3andup. They got an Instagram account, and show some support, because they're posting a lot of great photos, and as long as they see a lot of followers, they're going to keep on posting more stuff. So show some support, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name's Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. So the way he spoke about it actually is kind of more in the general sense, okay? Because honestly speaking, we knew